In a world where friendship is celebrated as essential to happiness, where a social circle is a marker of success, and where admitting you don't want friends is seen as a cry for help, there's a huge misunderstood group of people who genuinely actively don't want friendships. Not because they can't connect, not because they haven't found the right people, but because the entire structure of friendship, because the entire structure of friendship, the emotional work, the time, the performance feels draining and unrewarding compared to being alone. They watch others build friend groups and plan gatherings. They see the cultural story that friendship is the ultimate source of meaning, and they feel nothing, except maybe quiet relief that they've given themselves permission to opt out of a system that always felt more like a burden than a blessing. If you're watching this, you're either one of these people, feeling validated that your preference for solitude is legitimate, or you're someone whose friendships are central to your identity and you just can't imagine life without close friends. But here's the raw truth nobody wants to admit because it threatens our basic ideas about human nature. People who don't want friends aren't lonely, antisocial, or broken. They represent specific psychological profiles that reveal how certain minds process social energy, connection, and what actually makes a life fulfilling, in ways that contradict the narrative that humans need friendship to thrive. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will shatter your assumptions about social needs, loneliness, and the dangerous belief that there's only one path to well-being. Let me ask you something that will make social people uncomfortable. How many of your friendships are genuinely reciprocal? Nourishing relationships versus social obligations you maintain out of habit, guilt, or fear of being alone. When you spend time with friends, do you leave feeling energized or do you often feel drained? Pretending to be interested in conversations that bore you and secretly wishing you were alone? And here's the big one. If you value friendship, have you ever considered if you actually need those relationships? Or if you've just internalized the cultural message that friendship is mandatory and its absence is a tragedy? To understand why some people genuinely don't want friends, we first need to see the enormous cultural pressure that positions friendship as a non-negotiable requirement for a healthy life. From childhood, we're taught that making friends is essential. Every self-help book, every mental health tip insists that we need friendship to be happy, that isolation leads to depression and an early death. We've built entire industries around making friends, from apps to therapy, as if it's a skill everyone must master. This creates a social imperative, where your psychological health is measured by your friend count. Not having friends marks you as socially deficient, maybe even mentally ill. Therapists often treat friendlessness as a problem to be solved, not a valid life choice. But here's where we need to get brutally honest. Not everyone's psychological architecture is built for friendship. Forcing social connection on people who don't want it causes more harm than the supposed loneliness it's meant to prevent. Some people have nervous systems that find social interaction draining, no matter how positive it is. Some have time and energy budgets where friendships are an unacceptable drain on resources they'd rather invest elsewhere. And treating these people as defective is just wrong. This clarity about not wanting friends comes from 5 distinct psychological traits. First, extreme introversion and social energy depletion. People who don't want friends are often profoundly introverted, where all social interaction, even good interaction, drains their energy. This isn't about disliking people. Many are great at socializing when they have to, but every social interaction costs them energy and requires substantial recovery time alone. Friendship, by its nature, demands regular contact and emotional availability. For extreme introverts, this just isn't sustainable. They're not lonely in solitude. They're peaceful and energized in a way friendship never made them feel. Second, self-sufficiency and low social support needs. The second trait is exceptional. Self-sufficiency combined with a genuinely low need for external support or validation. Most people rely on friends for emotional support, but people who don't want friends have developed strong internal support systems. When they face problems, they process them through introspection or professional help, not by venting to friends. They find entertainment in solitary pursuits that engage them more deeply than social activities ever could. It's not about being unable to receive support. It's about genuinely functioning better with self-directed problem solving. Third, time sovereignty, and opportunity cost awareness. The third trait is a sharp awareness of time as a finite resource and friendship as a major investment with questionable returns. Maintaining friendships takes a lot of time. For people who don't want friends, that time could be spent on creative work, skill development, or personal projects. They've seen how friendships can become time-consuming obligations, where saying no creates conflict. For their values and goals, the return on investment for friendship doesn't justify the cost. This isn't about being selfish, it's about honest resource allocation. Fourth, authenticity fatigue and performance resistance. The fourth trait is a deep discomfort with the inauthenticity that friendship often requires. Friendship demands performance, showing interest in things that bore you, managing others' emotions, suppressing honest reactions. For most people, this is a reasonable cost of connection. But for those who don't want friends, this constant emotional labor is psychologically exhausting. They have a low tolerance for social performance and a high need for authentic existence. Solitude offers complete authenticity. They'd rather have zero friends and total authenticity than maintain friendships that require constant performance. Fifth, different life priorities and meaning frameworks. The fifth trait is having built a life of meaning and purpose through channels that don't require friendship. While most people find meaning in social connections, these individuals find it elsewhere, in creative work, intellectual pursuits, spiritual practice, or connection with nature. They're not lacking meaning. They've just constructed it differently. They might feel more connected sitting alone in nature than in any social gathering. Their lives feel complete without friendship because it was never an essential ingredient for what makes their life worthwhile. When you combine these traits, extreme introversion, self-sufficiency, time sovereignty, authenticity fatigue, and alternative meaning frameworks, you get psychological profiles where not wanting friends isn't a failure, but an optimal life structure. Here's what friendship-obsessed culture doesn't want to acknowledge. Friendship is not a universal human need. Its necessity is culturally constructed, not biologically mandated. The truly raw truth is that much of what we call friendship is actually a burden dressed up as a blessing. Many people maintain friendships out of obligation, fear, or social pressure, not genuine nourishment. The loneliness epidemic isn't about a lack of friends. It's about having unsatisfying friendships while believing you need them. True loneliness is feeling isolated despite having friends. People without friends who don't want them aren't lonely, they're content. So what does this mean for you? If you value friendship and it genuinely nourishes you, that's valid. But stop projecting that need onto others. Stop assuming people without friends are suffering. Respect that some people have consciously chosen solitude, and that choice serves them better. If you're someone who doesn't want friends, I hope this provides profound validation. You are not broken, lonely, or antisocial. Your preference for solitude is a legitimate life structure. You can live a rich, meaningful, fulfilling life without friends. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your boundaries. The deeper truth is that human social needs vary enormously. Friendship is one option, not the only one. Some thrive with many friends, others with few, and still others thrive with none. All paths can lead to well-being when they are authentic to your nature. Now I want to hear from you. Do you genuinely not want friends but feel pressured to explain it? Or do you have friends but recognize some are maintained out of obligation? This is a judgment-free space. Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. If this validated your experience or challenged your assumptions, hit that like button. Subscribe for more raw truth about human diversity that questions what we're told is normal. Next week, the raw truth about people who don't feel grateful. Remember, your social needs are yours to define. Whether you're surrounded by friends or content in solitude, honor your authentic preferences. That's the only connection that matters. Thank you for watching. See you next week.